Hello and welcome to a very special edition of Other Items of Interest. I'm your host, Jack Zablocki. This is Best of Animal Stories Volume 2. Can you figure out what this special edition is about? Animals. And since it's Volume 2, it's more animals. Hope you enjoy. Hello and welcome to a very special edition of Other Items of Interest. I'm your host, Jack Zablocki. Welcome to Best of Animal Stories Volume 2, a collection of darker animal stories, much darker in comparison to Volume 1, which was cuter. It was a softer set of animal stories. Volume 2, we tackle stories about loose alligators and rabies and other diseases and animal attacks and the like. Oddly enough, we have 2 stories of different kinds of birds vomiting and shitting. I think that's fairly special. That's worth the price of admission, yes? Some of these stories will be a little grody, but I think that's to be expected with some animals. Some are just absurd, people biting camels, dudes trying to fight grizzly bears. I don't know what's wrong with people, but this is what happens when some people come in contact with animals. And then they make our show. Well, let's get on with the show. We hope you enjoy Best of Animal Stories 2. Have fun. And we'll start off the show with an update. This is from quite a while ago. Maybe you'll remember it from some of the finer points of the story. What happened. But anyway, from the MiamiHerald.com, Florida woman pulls an alligator from her yoga pants. Now a judge has his say. And there we have an alligator picture in case you needed to be reminded of what an alligator looks like. This Florida woman's first mistake, putting an alligator inside her yoga pants and more than 40 turtles into a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles backpack. I think that was one of the finer points of the previous story, other than the woman putting an alligator inside her pants. But 40 turtles into a TMNT backpack. Her second mistake, getting into a pickup truck with a driver who would soon be pulled over for running a stop sign. You can never know if that's going to happen. I mean, really. That's when a Charlotte County deputy asked the pair why they had the wildlife inside the pickup. When they told him they were collecting frogs and snakes, the deputy asked if they had anything more. That's when, on May 6th, Ariel Michelle Marchand LaQuire pulled a foot-long alligator out of the yoga pants she was wearing. Why would you put it in your pants anyway? I don't think this touches on that at all. On Wednesday, Charlotte County Judge Peter Bell in Punta Gorda sentenced the 26-year-old woman to 6 months probation and 200 hours of community service, according to court records. LaQuire was also ordered to donate $500 to the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, the agency that handled the investigation after deputies charged her with possessing an American alligator, possessing more than 1 turtle per day, transporting more than 1 turtle or turtle eggs, and 1 count of possessing a soft shell turtle. So you can't possess more than 1 turtle per day. They had to come up with legal talk. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. Legalese. Somebody had to come up with a law of why you cannot have more than 1 turtle per day. So you can accumulate turtles one by one, day after day, just not more than 1 per day. Just trying to understand the world. Don't listen to me. In July, LaQuire was cited for failing to appear in court. LaQuire, listed as homeless on her booking record, was jailed on July 29th and held on a $10,000 bond. She was released on Wednesday to face the judge. And that's the end of that. And I just hit the arm. I apologize if you could hear the suspension arm being hit. I'm not too sure about this thing. Maybe I just have to get used to it. Anyway, there's a mugshot of her down at the bottom. If you care to look at the article, check out www.otheritemsofinterest.com and look for the show notes for this episode. All the links will be there. From PennLive.com, another alligator found in Pittsburgh, third in a month. I was hoping this was an alligator in the sewer type story. Some just massive alligator found in the sewers of Pittsburgh. Like some old 1970s cheesy horror movie starring William Shatner. But it's not. Sorry to say. Public safety officials in Pittsburgh report having captured another alligator, the third found in the Steel City in the past month. Do they have a team, Steel City Gators? That would have been an awesome name for a team if they come up with something. I know this finding the gators are a new phenomenon based on this article. But that's a kick-ass name, Steel City Gators. Let's get back to the article. I have some bad ADD today. I'm going all over the place. The whole cable company thing just has me thrown off. Officers responded at about 6:15 p.m. Saturday after a 2.5-foot alligator was found on the porch of a home in the Carrick neighborhood. They were able to get the reptile into a box, and animal control officers then took it to Maine Animal Rescue in Homewood. A 5 to 6 foot long alligator was found Thursday. I can't even speak correctly. I'm tripping over my words. So much noise outside. A 5 to 6 foot long alligator was found Thursday evening in the Beachview neighborhood, and a 3 foot long alligator was captured May 18th at the Southside Riverfront Park. Authorities believe the previous 2 alligators found in the city were discarded pets. It wasn't immediately clear where the third gator might have come from, but police don't think it was related to the earlier cases. That's about it. There's a picture of an alligator in a box with tape around its mouth. Nothing special. If you've seen an alligator before, this is nothing new. Seems like a weird pet to have, an alligator. They're not very cuddly. I guess you could pet them. You can pet anything, really, right? You can pet a rock. Pet your pet rock. And we're going to start off the show. Well, we already started off the show, I guess, with an announcement. With the stories, we're going to start off with an update of sorts. If you've been listening since the early beginning, that's redundant, since about May, perhaps, there was a story we covered about Pittsburgh and their alligator problem. Sounds like a bad horror movie. But here's an update. Alligator in parking lot is Pittsburgh area's 4th since May, from UPI.com. And there's a picture of the newest gator that they've caught. About a 2-footer. Police said an alligator was caught wandering in the parking lot of a Pennsylvania store. The 4th alligator captured in the Pittsburgh area since May. Shaler Township Police said the Big Daddy Wildlife Group, that's a good name, I like that, Big Daddy Wildlife Group, was called in to assist overnight when the 2-foot alligator was spotted in the parking lot of a Giant Eagle store. Animal control took custody of the reptile, and police asked anyone with information on the origins of the suspected escaped pet to contact them. The gator is the 4th member of its species found in Allegheny County since an alligator was captured in Riverfront Park in May. That's all there is to it, just a quick update. Fourth gator caught in Pittsburgh. I don't know if there's going to be a 5th or a 6th. I hope this is a growing trend, and Pittsburgh gets known for their alligator infestation. Nothing against Pittsburgh. It's just something unique to have for your city. I think. That's just me. I keep wanting to say this is a cute story, but when rabies are involved, there's nothing really cute about that. From KTAR.com, man bitten by rabid bat hiding between iPad and case. A New Hampshire man got a big surprise as he went to close up his iPad. A bat was wedged between the back of the device and its cover and bit his finger. Roy Syvertson of Southampton tells WMUR-TV it felt like a bee sting at first. When he realized he was dealing with a bat, he pressed down on the cover to keep it from flying away. The 86-year-old man managed to get the bat outside, but later found him dead. It turned out that the bat was rabid. Syvertson went to the hospital for rabies treatments. When asked how the bat got into his house and iPad case last week, Syvertson had already made a response. He quipped, "My joke of, he probably knew my password, won't last forever." Wah, wah, wah. Yeah. That's the story. That's the entire story. I don't know why I keep thinking it's a cute story. It's really not. Is something wrong with me? I'll have to ask my doctor. And here's a nice scary one from edition.cnn.com, CNN Health. A woman lost her hands and legs to an infection from puppy kisses. You thought puppies were all cute and sweet and nice, right? Check this out. Days after returning home from a Punta Cana vacation, Marie Traynor called out of work with a backache and nausea. Then her temperature spiked and dropped, sending her to a local Stark County, Ohio emergency room in the early hours of May 11th. When Traynor woke in a hospital bed 9 days later, her hands and legs had been amputated. That's not what you want to wake up to. You don't want to wake up to anything missing, but your hands and your legs gone. It took doctors 7 days to discover Traynor and cured a severe infection, not from a tropical travel disease as they first suspected, but from her German Shepherd's kisses. Traynor contracted a rare infection from the bacteria Capnocytophaga canemorsis, probably when her German Shepherd puppy Taylor licked an open cut. Dr. Margaret Kobe, the medical director of infectious disease at Altman Hospital in Canton, Ohio, treated Traynor and described her as delirious when she entered the intensive care unit. Shortly after, she became unconscious. Her skin started changing rapidly to a purplish red color, and then it progressed into gangrene. Traynor then developed a blood clot. I think I'm going to get rid of my dog. I think I'd live a lot happier without this worry on my mind. I'm not going to get rid of my dog. I was just joking. Don't get mad at me. It was difficult to identify. We're kind of the detectives. We went through all of these diagnoses until we could narrow things down, Kobe said. The infection spread to the tip of her nose, ears, legs, and face. She didn't lose parts of her face, but her extremities is what she had to have surgery on, Kobe said. The family sought a second opinion, hoping to save Traynor's limbs, but doctors said the damage had already been done. Blood tests and cultures confirmed the diagnosis of capnocytophaga. That was a pretty hard pill for us to all swallow, to say she was fine a couple of days ago on vacation, and now she's actively getting worse by the minute, and now her hands and feet aren't alive. Like, this doesn't happen. It's 2019, said Gina Premier, Traynor's stepdaughter and a nurse at Altman Hospital. Traynor has had 8 surgeries so far and is working with doctors to be fitted for prostheses. I wonder if she'll get the robotic ones, or what. This is off the scale, one of the worst cases we have seen in terms of how ill people become with infections, Kobe said. She was close to death. I think that goes without saying when you're just kind of turning purplish red and reddish purple and everything's getting infected on you. Marie Traynor says she knows her German Shepherd puppy licked a slightly infected scratch. When the bacteria spread to humans, they do so through bites, scratches, and other close contact with dogs and cats, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Holy shit. Excuse me. Let me tell you what I'm saying. There's a related article, man loses hands and feet after dog-related infection, but he's also lost his nose, and it was quite shocking to see. So that is there on the page if you go read it through www.otheritemsofinterest.com by going to the show notes. Back to the article, shall we? Most people in contact with dogs and cats don't get sick, and it's rare for capnocytophagia to cause illness in humans. Those at greatest risk are people with weakened immune system, such as cancer patients and people who have had their spleens removed, the CDC said. Those who become ill may show symptoms within 3 to 5 days, although some may show signs earlier or later. In rare cases, patients can develop sepsis. About 3 in 10 people who develop a severe infection die. CDC statistics show. Man, that's a tongue twister. CDC statistics show. Capnocytophagia have been detected in up to 74% of dogs, according to the CDC. Animals can be tested for it, but those results can change. Capnocytophagia isn't on the CDC's list of reportable diseases, and experts say it's hard to pin down numbers on how rare these infections are. A 2015 report found fewer than 500 laboratory-confirmed cases that had been reported since 1961, though the bacterium was not officially named as a new species until 1989. It's a lot longer than I thought it was. Maria and Matthew Trainer have 2 dogs. It's better than AstroTurf stories, isn't it? I think so. Maria and Matthew Trainer have 2 dogs, and she says she has no intention of parting with them. She asked her doctors if she could see her dogs again during her healing process. The pups have come to Altman Hospital twice to visit. That's sweet. They brought them here 2 times at the hospital so I can see them, and that just put the biggest smile on my face, she said. Marie Trainer owns a salon. She and her husband own a local bar. They love riding motorcycles. Now their community has rallied around them to help raise money to support Trainer's medical expenses. A GoFundMe page has raised nearly $20,000, and a recent pool tournament fundraiser for Marie was standing room only, Trainer's son Matthew Trainer Jr. said. I cannot believe how everybody has come forward to help, and even people I don't know from other states. And it's unbelievable the people that have come out to help. I just don't know how to thank them all, Marie Trainer said. This is a touching, very touching story now. I got a little lump in my throat. She hopes to attend the next fundraising event on August 31st, a motorcycle poker run and dinner sponsored by friends from another local restaurant. She attributes her strength to the support of her family. It's been such a hard road to travel down, I wouldn't know what to do without them, Trainer said. Trainer will soon move from the hospital to a rehabilitation facility to learn how to use prostheses. She's been fitted for prosthetic legs and will eventually get prosthetic wrists and hands. I guess she's not getting the robot ones. That's tough. I've been feeling very good. They're healing very well, Trainer said. I'm so ready to move forward. I want to go home. I want to go back to work. She has a pretty good attitude. I don't have that kind of attitude. I mean, I'd get rid of that dog immediately. And I don't know. I don't know what I would do without hands and legs. Seems like a hard life. Sorry to bring everything down, but scary story nonetheless. There's a lot going on in this headline. From KSLA News 12, KSLA.com. Woman bites camel to escape enclosure at Louisiana truck stop. Owner says camel is friendly. There's a picture of the camel. I if you want to see a picture of a camel like you haven't seen one before, visit the show notes. A woman was sent to the hospital after biting the private area of a camel that was sitting on her at the truck stop in Grosse Tete, Louisiana, according to the Iberville Parish Sheriff's Office. This is just one of those articles. On Thursday evening, a couple at the I-10 truck stop in Grosse Tete was chasing after their deaf dog ran away from them, Sheriff Brett Stassi said. The dog, according to Stassi, ran under the double barbed wire fencing that fenced off the enclosure of the camel. The couple chased after the dog into the enclosure, meeting an agitated camel who was named Casper. Sheriff Stassi said somehow the camel sat on the woman. The woman, possibly out of self-defense, bit the camel's testicles. That's got to be some dank shit. That smell and that taste. Pamela Bossier, a manager of the Tiger truck stop, said the couple broke into the enclosure, causing the camel to panic. It was just crazy, Bossier told the Washington Post on Monday, to the point of why would somebody do that? She claimed the couple was throwing dog treats into the camel's pen before the dog ran in. She said the camel is friendly and plays with goats all the time. She claims he was playing around with the dog. I didn't know camels could be friendly with other animals. They seem like jerks, camels. I don't think they'd be fun or friendly. But they say this camel's friendly, so what do I know? The woman was sent to the hospital, according to the sheriff. The extent of her injuries was not released. Bossier said the veterinarian is coming to check on the camel. Casper has been in the enclosure since last summer, replacing Truck Stop's previous attraction, Tony the Tiger. They had a tiger. That's a big step down. You go from tiger to camel. That's a good couple of steps down in the animal kingdom. The tiger had been put down in October 2017 because of kidney failure and other health issues, like living at a Louisiana truck stop. The Tiger truck stop has stirred some controversy in the past after an animal rights group filed a petition to free Tony. Well, you tried, didn't you? And here's where our animal stories take a turn. Quite a turn. Alabama man accused of feeding meth to a squirrel arrested. From NBCnews.com. An Alabama man, who authorities say kept a meth-fueled attack squirrel in his apartment, was arrested Thursday on multiple felony warrants unrelated to the squirrel. Narcotics investigators found Mickey Polk, 35, while they were conducting surveillance at a hotel in Killen, according to the Limestone County Sheriff's Office. Polk was arrested after he fled on a stolen motorcycle and rammed an investigator's vehicle. And there's a picture of Polk in cuffs on the ground. Polk was wanted for possession of an illegal firearm, possession of a controlled substance, and possession of drug paraphernalia. Investigators in Athens, Alabama, searched Polk's home last week after getting a tip the man was keeping a methamphetamine-fueled attack squirrel at the residence. Narcotics investigators arrested one man and are looking for another after they executed a search warrant Monday that yielded meth, drug paraphernalia, body armor, and a squirrel, the sheriff's office said on June 18th. Polk uploaded a video on Facebook after the raid from the apartment with the squirrel. He acknowledged that the squirrel is aggressive and had bitten people, but denied that the rodent was trained to attack. And there's a picture of the squirrel. He's a chubby little fella. He's in a cage. Doesn't look too aggressive. Doesn't look like a meth head. The public isn't in danger from the methed-out squirrel in the neighborhood, Polk said with a chuckle. He's not on meth, I'm pretty sure. Better not find out he's on meth anyway. I don't think he likes that shit. Okay. He wrote on Facebook that he had been bottle feeding the animal since it was hours old and raising it like it was my own. Well, that puts a warm, fuzzy feeling in my heart. Authorities said there was no safe way to test the squirrel for methamphetamine. You can't give the squirrel a pee test? No? Okay. The Limestone County Sheriff's Office did not immediately respond to a request for more information by NBC News on Friday. So there you have it. There's some animal stories. They run the gamut from cute and sweet to methed out squirrel. Squirrels are really kind of, jittery, wiry. I don't know how to put it, but if you've seen a squirrel, they're quick movements and all that. I can't imagine a squirrel on meth. I don't know if I want to imagine a squirrel on meth. Stealing my hubcaps or something. And here's a weird one. I mean, they've all been kind of weird in a way. But this one strikes me particularly weird. From WPRI.com. Dead llama mysteriously washes ashore at East Mattanock. A dead llama washed up on a beach. That's weird. Authorities at the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management, otherwise known as DEM, are scratching their heads as to why a dead llama recently washed up on East Mattanock State Beach. DEM spokesperson Mike Healy said the llama was found on the shoreline of the South Kingstown Beach last weekend. It's really bizarre. When we think of marine mammals washing ashore, we don't think of a llama, Healy said. And why would you? On Wednesday, the dead llama was brought to the nearby Great Swamp Management Area to be buried. The DEM's veterinarian determined the llama showed no signs of maltreatment, didn't have a microchip, and was not shot or killed. Healy said the town wanted the llama off the beach prior to the holiday weekend since it posed a health hazard. I don't know, you let the kids, make it like a thing. Let the kids poke the dead llama with a stick. Little Billy gets his turn, he moves aside. Little Sally gets to poke the dead llama with a stick. Could be fun for the kids. Maybe, probably not. Let's move on. From the Argus.co.uk, psychotic seagull vomits and shits on TV star's car after failed sandwich mugging. I feel like we do a lot of stories about seagulls. Birds in general on the show. Birds are kind of assholes. And here's another one. A psychotic seagull hell-bent on revenge after failing to steal a children's TV star's sandwich defecated and vomited on his car. Dave Benson Phillips was performing in Worthing when a pesky seagull swooped for a star of CBBC's game show Get Your Own Back's sandwich. But Mr. Benson Phillips refused to kowtow to the flying mugger in South Square, scaring it away, perhaps with a deathly stare. The flapping terror remained close by, the star said, annoying everyone in a nearby sand pit. Then, in a shocking and brazen act of revenge, the same seagull vomited and shit on Mr. Benson Phillips' car. And that's in quotes, vomited and shit, quote unquote. Are seagulls capable of revenge? The star asked his Twitter followers. He said, when performing my music set at the Worthing Sandpit, a pesky seagull tried to steal my sandwich. I scared it away, but it remained at Sandpit, annoying everyone. When packing my stuff away, the same seagull vomited and shit on my car. Once, one Twitter user asked, are you suggesting that seagull was getting its own back? Because of the game show, we talked about that earlier. If you're worried about how to protect your seaside chips from pesky seagulls, scientists, and that's scientists without a beginning S, believe the answer lies in an old-fashioned stare-down. The would-be feathered thieves are more likely to strike when they can swoop in under the radar, avoiding the gaze of their victims, researchers say. How do you spell scientist wrong? I mean, they completely left off the S. You ever see that movie, The Birds? You ever see that movie, Birdemic? That's a real piece of shit. Go check that out if you have a chance. But this article is along those lines. From the telegraph.co.uk, seagulls keep couple hostage in their own home for 6 days by attacking them every time they leave the house. Not fun. Nesting seagulls kept a couple hostage in their own home for 6 days by attacking them every time they tried to leave their house. I hate when the first paragraph reiterates the headline. It wasn't exact this time, but sometimes I've read that first paragraph, which is a repeat. I feel like an idiot. Anyway, Roy and Brenda Pickard, 71, say they were constantly confronted by 2 squawking adult seagulls after 2 chicks ended up on their roof. Mr. Pickard, 77, was once so viciously attacked that he ended up with a bloody head wound that needed hospital treatment. Speaking about how difficult it has been to complete simple tasks while stranded inside, Mr. Pickard from Knott End near Morecambe Bay, Lancaster? I don't know which one this is. It's abbreviated. Anyway, the whole thing has been terrible. Kind of like this podcast. I've not been able to go out of this front door. If I try to get out of the front door, the 2 adult birds are right there and I've got no chance. It's genuinely frightening. He added, my wife isn't very well or very mobile at the moment, so we're relying on me to get out. Thankfully, we have an integrated garage, and I can get into it from the kitchen, open the garage door, and drive out to get our shopping, but I have to leave the garage door open, which isn't ideal. The Ware Council say the gulls are herring gulls and are protected once nesting, which meant the couple had limited solutions available. The Ware Council spokesman said, we sympathize with Mr. Pickard's situation. Seagulls can be troublesome, particularly when nesting. We have visited Mr. Pickard to assess the situation and have given advice on how he can deal with the gulls. For now, a solution is in place which will enable Mr. Pickard to take his wife to her private appointment. The gulls in question are herring gulls, and they are protected once nesting, and so there are limited solutions available. Didn't I just say that? What's going on here? We advise residents who have a problem with seagulls to bird-proof their properties prior to the breeding season. And there's no other information like when the breeding season may be or how they should bird-proof their properties. Yikes. That's all I can say. All right, here's where the show gets a little creepy crawly. And here's how we're going to start that. From cbc.ca, man caught smuggling nearly 5,000 leeches in luggage. A Niagara Falls, Ontario man has been fined $15,000 after he was caught flying into Canada with a suitcase full of leeches. Ippolit Budinov tried to smuggle, they have the number here, I guess they counted them, 4,788 live medicinal leeches in his carry-on luggage on October 17th, according to Environmental and Climate Change Canada. He'd just flown from Russia to Toronto's Pearson International Airport. Budinov carried the leeches in a large reusable grocery bag, said Jerry Burnett, operations manager of ECCC's Wildlife Enforcement Directorate, based in Burlington, Ontario. Within that bag were 10 smaller, dampened cloth bags. And this amazes me. A dog working with border agents smelled the leeches, Brunette said. A dog can sniff out leeches. That's fucking awesome. Pardon my language. This is our first large-scale illegal leech import, he said, though the ministry sees a lot of illegally imported reptiles, turtles, tortoises, and snakes. The ministry sent the leeches to the Royal Ontario Museum in Toronto, where Sebastian Kvist, curator of invertebrate zoology, identified them as Hirudo verbana, a threatened medicinal leech. Surprisingly, all the leeches survived, Kvist said. There's a positive. Huh? 5,000 leeches, not a single one spared. About 240 were then sent to the American Museum of Natural History in New York, where DNA sequencing of their stomach contents revealed they were caught in the wild. People have been harvesting the breed for medicinal purposes since medieval times, Kvis said. New Age medicine practitioners use them for everything from lessening arthritis pain to preventing baldness, although there's no scientific proof that this works. The only proven use of leeches in medicine, he said, is to stimulate blood flow in reattached fingers and toes. In some cases, they also deter strokes. Medicinal leeches sell for between $8 and $20 per leech, he said. That's a pretty good going rate for a leech, I would imagine. $20 for a leech? Not only are they threatened and unregulated, but they're an invasive species too. Kvis said some leech populations exclusive to Europe have been found in Alberta because people drop them in local lakes when they're done with them. Canadians are so nice that once they're done with a leech, they put it back into nature. I think most Americans would probably flush them. Budanov pleaded guilty on May 24th to violating the Wild Animal and Plant Protection and Regulation of International and Interprovincial Trade Act. That's a mouthful. I need to catch my breath after that one. He was fined and also banned for a year from importing, exporting, and possessing any animals regulated through the Convention of International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. Brunette said illegal wildlife trade is worth about $20 billion a year. Canada does not tolerate the exploitation of threatened species for profit, he said. I'm sure he was very serious and stern when he said that. And check the show notes, you can look at pictures of leeches. They're not cute. And back to the real news from Time.com, Time Magazine. Smells like 1,000 rotting corpses. Florida vacation home invaded by dozens of vomiting vultures. How's that? And right up top is a video of vultures, the nasty looking buggers. Not good looking birds at all. A New York couple's luxurious vacation house in Florida has been taken over by dozens of black vultures that are vomiting and defecating everywhere. The Palm Beach Post, it's just gross. The Palm Beach Post reports the Casamano family can't even visit the $702,000 home they purchased earlier this year in the Ibis Golf and Country Club. Siobhan Casamano described the smell as like 1,000 rotting corpses. What does she have to compare that to, I wonder? What kind of shit has she seen? Anyway, the vultures have destroyed screen enclosures and have overtaken the pool and barbecue. The few times the family has visited, they've had to park their car in the garage or the birds peck at them with their beaks. Very territorial birds, aren't they? We just recently did the two seagull stories about what jerk seagulls can be. The one seagull stole the little chihuahua, picked it up right out of the backyard, and then there were the other seagulls who wouldn't let the elderly couple out of their house. I remember these bird stories because one day there's going to be a bird uprising, and we're all going to be held accountable to hold our ground against these birds. You're either with me or against me on this one. Anyway, a neighbor, Cheryl Katz, tells the Post she's got it even worse because she lives next door to a person who is feeding the vultures and other wildlife. One of those people. In May, she said, vultures, who feeds vultures? Why would you do that? You gotta have something wrong with your head. In May, she said vultures tore through her pool enclosure and couldn't figure out how to get out. Imagine 20 vultures trapped, biting each other, and they can bite through bones, she said. They would bang against my windows running away from a bird that was attacking them. Blood was everywhere. It was a vile, vicious, traumatic event. And it was Memorial Day, so no company I called would come out to help me. Finally, 3 police officers arrived. They removed the screens and shooed away the vultures. Since she has chronic lymphocytic leukemia, which leaves her vulnerable to infections, she's had to be extra careful going outside, even having someone power wash the patio twice. Well, that's nice. Then again, think how dirty that. Think about how dirty the patio was from vulture shit and vomit that it had to be power washed twice. That's some serious vomiting and shitting. The homeowners blame Kat's neighbor, who they claim is excessively feeding wildlife. Kat said she has seen the neighbor give bags of dog food, it says foot, dog foot? I think it's dog food, and even a roasted chicken to the vultures. Lady's nuts. She's just asking for trouble. Neighborhood Association President Gordon Holness said they've warned the woman, but they're limited to what they can do because the vultures, as migratory birds, are protected by federal law. And believe it or not, that's something we've come across a lot on the show. Migratory bird law. I don't know if it's bird law, but some kind of migratory bird. It just reminds me of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's working in bird law. But there is some kind of migratory bird law where one guy tried to fight a pelican, and he got into a lot of trouble for that because it was a protected bird. Anyway, it's a thing. It's a big deal, a big to-do. Holness said vultures were not a problem in the neighborhood before the spring. He said they've contacted the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission to issue a warning, but so far they've been ignored by the neighbor. Katz said she spoke to someone. Speaking of cats, why not just fill the neighborhood with cats? Will they take care of the birds? Those vultures are pretty big if you look at the picture, so I'm thinking not. I'm just talking out my ass looking for a solution for these people. I guess invading the whole neighborhood with cats wouldn't really work. Anyway, the other cats, the human cats, said she spoke to someone at the U.S. Wildlife Service and learned it is hard to get a permit to kill a black vulture. People have suggested scaring them with fireworks or balloons, but that doesn't work for long. Cats even tried putting out 4 fake owls that have moving heads and blinking lights. The vultures chewed the owls apart, she said. They ripped the heads off. So maybe getting a bunch of cats in the neighborhood isn't a good idea then, if they're just ripping heads off robotic owls. I'll get back to the drawing board and work on this one. Another life lesson, that being, don't put an octopus on your face. Just don't. Why would you? This lady did. From cbc.ca, we all make mistakes, says woman who got bit by an octopus she put on her face. There are a few pictures of her on the CBC website with the octopus on her face, smiling at the moment. There are no pictures after she was bitten, because I doubt she would be smiling. When Jamie Bisceglia first put an octopus on her face, she says it felt squishy and fun. The Fox Island, Washington woman was participating in a Tacoma fishing derby over the weekend and wanted to help her friend get a good picture for the photo contest. The suckers weren't like strong. They just kind of crept all over my face and my nose and my ears, she told As It Happens guest host Paya Chapatepatepate. I cannot say this last name. And there's no pronunciation key like the Miami Herald does. God bless them. So whoever the As It Happens guest host was most recently on CBC Radio. Then the freshly captured mollusk chomped down. You forget they've got a big beak in there. It can tear things to shreds. When its beak entered my chin, it was the most intense pain, she said. It felt like a barbed hook. If I tried to release it off my face, I knew I was going to tear skin or flesh away. Well, she acted rationally in the moment, I gotta say that. It was a split-second decision and one she regrets. I'm not here to, try to make myself look good because I know I don't. We're human. We all make mistakes. Well, she's very down to earth with this, I'll say. But we're human. We all make mistakes. I've never liked that saying. I don't know what it is about it. We're only human. Well, okay. She waited until the creature loosened its jaws a bit, then quickly hauled it off her face, just narrowly managing to free herself before it could bite again. The wound was bleeding profusely, but Bisceglia says she played it cool. I'm a strong-willed woman. I'm by myself on a boat. I've got 5 guys watching me, so I try not to act like anything major is going on, she said. She could be putting up a front there, I don't know. I grab my towel as it's bleeding, and I just keep it held to my face and go on with fishing in the derby. Well, that is pretty impressive. Octopus takes a chunk out of your face and you just keep going on with your fishing. Not bad. Bisceglia kept on fishing through that Friday evening and into the next afternoon. She went home on Saturday evening, and when she woke up the next day, her face was completely swollen. The octopus was venomous. Oof. My eyes were swollen. I couldn't see very well out of my left side. My glands were completely swollen. Underneath my chin was a large pus pocket. And then the left side of my face was completely paralyzed, she said. Oh. Still, she didn't panic. Bisceglia says she hopped in the shower, cleaned her fishing gear, and then headed straight to the hospital. She cleaned her fishing gear? So this woman has odd priorities. Really, I mean, your head looks probably like just a weird kind of stress ball, those squishy ones that when you squish it, it stays into that shape. That's probably what her face looked like a sloth from Goonies. There wasn't a second before they had me in a room because it was the rarest case they had ever seen, she said. I was the talk of the hospital. Bisceglia is out of the hospital and recovering now. She's taking antibiotics and medications to deal with the venom. She has a wound on her face that she suspects will become a lifelong scar. But she ultimately got the last laugh. She took the octopus home, cooked it, and ate it. A fact she says she's been getting a lot of flack for online. I'm not here to judge anyone, and if they want to judge me, so be it. They have nothing better to do than, ridicule somebody for doing what they love to do. This is my passion. I fish, I hunt, and I'm a forager. And we all eat, right? Right. I'm not judging her. I'm making fun of her a little bit. A good ribbing. Because she put an octopus on her face. It's kind of stupid. But she's better now. That's all that matters. I wish they had a picture of her when she woke up that morning with just from the bite and the venom. I can't imagine what that looked like. It sounded like it affected her whole face, plus her neck because of her glands. I bet she won't do that again. Another life lesson learned, right? Don't put an octopus on your face. It might be venomous. Workers scream as mouse launches itself into deep fryer at Texas Whataburger. From HuffPost.com. We did another story on a Whataburger a couple weeks ago. I think back in July, maybe. A superintendent of one school was at a Whataburger after midnight and allegedly had been drinking. And another superintendent from another school showed up, and they got into a fist fight and a headbutt fight. Anyway, that was at a Whataburger. Figured the two related. I'd relay the story to you guys. A mouse appears to dive headfirst into a deep fryer at a Whataburger restaurant in Bastrop, Texas, in a scene caught on video by a customer and posted online. Brushawn Lewis published the footage to Facebook early on Sunday. It shows restaurant staff trying to catch the mouse as it scampers across the counter before it launches itself right into the fryer, to the immense shock of staff and onlookers. everybody was watching. I wonder if that scars people. Do you think anybody's going to post a lawsuit against Whataburger for being scarred? I can imagine. Who else needs a refund? One person can be heard asking. The post hit 1.4 million views in less than 24 hours and was shared more than 50,000 times. Whataburger issued a statement in the comments of the post that read in part, "We closed the restaurant out of an abundance of caution and notified pest control. The entire restaurant has since been cleaned and sanitized." The company said the restaurant in question had no history of this type of incident. Oh no, you don't get a lot of mice committing suicide by fryer? Figure that happened a lot. I guess not. The Statesman reported the Bastrop Whataburger location reopened Sunday morning, and you can watch a video below, which I believe is the Facebook video, because for me it says video unavailable, and I have some kind of Facebook blocker on my extensions here, so I don't see any of that. I didn't get to watch the video on this one. I'm not going to tell you to go to the show notes. I mean, it's a mouse jumping into a fryer. I can understand. It's kind of cool, but it's kind of gross. Do what you want. You have to go to Facebook, though. I know some of you are against that. If you're driving down the road and you see a bear on the side of the road, is your first instinct to pull over, get out of the car, and fight the bear? I didn't think so. From CochraneToday.ca, man who tried to fight grizzly bear in Banff National Park fined $4,000. Somebody did. Somebody pulled over. Somebody got shirtless. Somebody tried to fight a bear. Let's find out about this fellow. It's not every day a man tries to fight a grizzly bear. I think I kind of stated that in a way. But it appears that is what happened in Banff National Park in 2015 when Devin Mitsuing, 35, got out of his truck shirtless and began shouting at the young grizzly while in a boxing stance before charging at it, according to an eyewitness to the incident. Caught on camera by a couple of nearby photographers who were taking pictures of the lone grazing grizzly on Highway 93 and called Royal Canadian Mounted Police after the incident, Mitsuing was later located in Radium, British Columbia by RCMP and a park warden and charged under the National Parks Act for disturbing wildlife in a national park. I wonder if we'll start doing more stories about, the National Parks Act to kind of complement the Migratory Bird Act that we cover so occasionally. Just a wonderment of mine. I wonder. After two previous missed court dates, the case finally came to trial in the Canmore Provincial Courthouse Friday, September 13th morning, with Judge George Gashler finding the Saskatchewan man guilty and imposing a $4,000 fine. It is abundantly clear this is a disturbance of a grizzly bear, and I find Mr. Mitsuing guilty, Judge Gashler said. While Mitsuing was at the courthouse before the doors officially opened, he left to run errands and grab some food, resulting in his absence from the morning trial. This guy's a real winner. Two witnesses were called to the stand, one of the photographers who captured the incident and the park's warden who charged Mitsuing. British Columbia photographer Thomas Murray O'Neill said they had been taking pictures of the bear on the Icefields Parkway near Peyto Lake for approximately an hour on June 5th, 2015, when the red truck with the Saskatchewan license plate pulled up. We were on the other side of the highway when a truck pulled up, and 2 gentlemen got out, started yelling at the bear and throwing rocks. Then he took off his shirt and got in a boxing stance, O'Neill explained. Why would you take your shirt off? I understand in a fight against like another human, you might take your shirt off so it doesn't get pulled over your head and like you're incapacitated. Well, what's the deal with, doing it with a bear? Why would you fight a fucking bear anyway? Pardon my French. This guy's a moron. The photographer watched Mitsui shirtless yell and taunt the young grizzly for approximately 5 to 10 minutes before the man started running toward the bear, startling it to run back into the bush. O'Neill said he couldn't hear what Mitsui was shouting, but was confident in identifying the bear as a grizzly, as he has been taking pictures of wildlife, especially grizzlies, for the past 40 years. O'Neill said they were concerned as the man in the truck seemed inebriated, so he called the RCMP. Park Warden Paul Friesen testified he was working in Kootenai National Park when he was contacted by dispatch about a man harassing a grizzly bear in Banff National Park. When I queried the license plate, I realized Columbia Valley had queried the license plate too, Friesen said during the trial. After a quick chat with officials, the warden discovered the vehicle in question had been impounded after RCMP officers were called to Radium Hot Springs with reports of a disturbance. After finding Mitsui and his friends at the hot springs too intoxicated to drive, RCMP impounded the vehicle and dropped the group off at a local hotel. Friesen located Mitsui at the hotel the following morning and took an audio statement that was played in court, where Mitsui asked several times where he was and said he did not throw rocks but was merely trying to get a photo with the bear. And here's a good quote. I was just trying to get a picture. Was just fucking around. I thought it was a brown bear, Mitsui can be heard saying in the audio statement. I don't know. Toward the end of the recording, Mitsui asked where he was, and when he told he was in British Columbia, he swore. The warden asked where he was going, and Mitsui replied, I don't know. I was trying to go golfing. I don't golf myself, but maybe one of you listeners do, or know someone who does. On their way to go golfing, do you stop to fight bears? Is that a thing? Does Jack Nicklaus fight bears on the regular? I doubt it. Federal Crown Prosecutor Jeremy Newton said Mitsui was incredibly lucky he was not maimed or killed in the incident and noted that grizzly bears are a protected species. Judge Gashler said it was obvious this was disturbance of a grizzly bear and agreed to the Crown's recommendation of a $4,000 fine, with the money going toward the Environmental Damages Fund. What is the next step? He isn't here, Judge Gashler asked after the ruling. He wasn't even there for the ruling. He was just gone, eating. It was decided Mitsui would have until October 16th to pay the fine or face 33 days in jail. Mitsui did return to the courthouse an hour after the trial concluded and turned himself in to Canmore RCMP. I think the judge said it best. When an individual creates this kind of dangerous situation with a bear, when they charge at him, when they throw rocks at him while they cause him to run into the bush, you're going to create an aggressive animal that obviously has the ability to do a lot of harm to humans and the public in general, Newton said after the trial. Mr. Mitsui wasn't just putting himself in danger, he was putting every other person who comes across this bear in danger in the future. So a large fine is a strong message to other individuals who, for whatever reason, would think to engage in this kind of behavior. You would hope they wouldn't, but it should be even more obvious now. I hope so too. Well, that's our show. We hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for sharing your time with us. This has been Other Items of Interest. I've been Jack Zablocki. Check us out online at www.otheritemsofinterest.com. We'll see you again sometime. Bye-bye.